Great start for John Nevels, who was a linebacker his first 2 seasons in the SFL. Joined Carolina mid-season last year as a linebacker, now a defensive end. The first carry for Reggie Streeter, who was the SFL MVP 2 seasons ago. Shravan Prasad, the veteran middle linebacker, on the stop. And Brett, anytime that Louisiana is one of the subjects of the contest here in the SFL, spotlights always shine on Reggie Streeter. He was excellent again last season in what was a down year by his standards, but a career year for almost everybody else. Crazy to imagine that. He gets 3 on his first carry. Now Utah, his first pass in the SFL is wayward, trying to link up with, I think that was Twinsker at the top of the field, but it was way out of bounds, and an early 4th down for the Revs.
Yeah, a little bit of a late progression call on there for Tommy Utah. As he threw that pass, his receiver was already out of bounds, and Louisiana has a quick 3 and out, and Carolina having a good start to their defense.
So another new addition to this Revolution team, Walter Melanishin, who was a non-contract punter in the past. He now gets a contract and a roster spot full on this season. So the rookie undrafted free agent Walter Melanishin with his first punt as a professional. Fair catch is called for and made, in a nice punt and a flip of field for the Revs. They go 3 and out on their first possession of the season. That's Harish Prasad returning the punt. He has done that in the past to great success. Carolina's used a couple of different kick returners over the last couple of years. And Carolina, Brett, also a new quarterback, not a rookie, a guy who has been around for quite a while now. In his 5th total season in the SFL, Matt South, the North Carolina native, now the quarterback for the team based in Raleigh. From the 3-back set, Matt South will hand it off to Logan Jack. A spin move for Jack. Picks up 5 on the first play of the season for the Skyhawks.
And we're going to see a lot of connections from Matt South, but you also have to remember Logan Jack. He was a good force for the Carolina Skyhawks, had 1,000 exact yards to the dot. You don't see that too often in the SFL, along with 5 touchdowns. So you always got to be weary of Logan Jack.
They used him so much more heavily on the ground in season 16 than they did in season 15. It's kind of crazy. South now will throw his first pass as a Skyhawk. It's caught over the middle into enemy territory. Go the Skyhawks. It's Heath McDaniel Jr., the 3rd-year wideout, and a nice pickup, the first down of the season for Carolina.
A nice catch by former Vancouver Legion member Heath McDaniel Jr. there. Matt South, considering that he had an on and off season with the Portland Fleet last season with 11 touchdowns and 21 interceptions, looking for a bounce back season here.
That's a big question mark for this Skyhawk team, no question about it. South will bomb it over the middle. That was a risky pass, could have been picked right into the chest of Mike Ryan, who joins the Revolution this season. We'll talk about this, Brett, but you want to talk good secondaries? This might be the best matchup of the. This might be the matchup of the 2 best secondaries in the SFL. I mean, the teams like Arizona and St. Louis would have a lot to say about that, but these are 2 of the best in terms of pass defense, in terms of takeaways, whatever other metric you want. Mike Ryan joining this Revolution secondary, the former 1st overall pick, makes a play on his first possession as a Rev. South now to throw. Open top of the screen. It's caught by Harish Prasad, the veteran wide receiver, now in his 7th season with the Skyhawks, the North Carolina native.
And going back to the talk about secondaries, you have to think of just the name value from Louisiana, having guys like Evan Arthur, Rolaman Hood, who is a pick-6 threat every chance he gets. Then you add Mike Ryan and Tank Bennett at the safeties, and then also getting Doug Day. Like, that's a scary unit.
It's freaking loaded, man. I mean, you just mentioned all 5 of them. They're all great at different things. South on 3rd down, pass is caught once again. Another first down for the Skyhawks. They're moving into the red zone. Back-to-back catches for Harish Prasad.
And Prasad doing a great job getting himself open on those like short to medium routes there with a nice little catch there, trying to juke his way around. But nonetheless, Carolina gets another first down, and they're trudging deeper and deeper into Louisiana territory.
19 total yards over those last 2 plays for Harish Prasad. You know he's a big play guy. He has shown that time and time again. Led the team in receiving yards, unsurprisingly, last year with 925. But only 3 receiving touchdowns. Inside the red zone, South has been good this drive. He will check it down to Logan Jack. Spin move for Jack. That helped him pick up a couple of extra yards. This, Brett, was how they used Logan Jack all the time 2 seasons ago. He was the league leader in catches, not just as a running back, among any player. They checked down to him a ton to great success. They barely ever failed when they tried to throw it to him. And last year they decided to run a whole lot more with him. Unfortunately for Carolina, the end result was the same, a 5-7 record each of the last 2 seasons. 2nd and 6 all day for South, throwing it this way. Pass is caught by McDaniel, spins, but he runs into a pair of Revolution. They stop him 2 yards short of the goal line.
You have to think McDaniel Jr. was really trying to push for that end zone there. He was so close after getting that catch. A nice out route, heading close to the sidelines, had a ton of space to his right, and he tried to trudge forward for that. But unfortunately, no touchdown, and now they have a 1st and goal very close to the end zone.
Rolliman Hood, the South Carolina native, playing against the team from North Carolina on the stop that time. One of the great members of this Louisiana secondary that we highlighted a second ago. I formation, 1st and goal from the 2. South the give to Jack, and he runs into a pair of Rev defenders. Great stop on 1st down. It's number 54, Vincent Powers, the outside linebacker, leading the way.
Yeah, and that's an absolute swarm by the Louisiana defensive line, coming in, pressuring the offensive line of Carolina and getting to Jack quickly as possible for a 1-yard loss.
Once again, they'll go to Jack, trying to break through, but he can't do so. A couple of Revs were there once again, spearheaded by Brian Craven, the newest member of this linebacking corps.
Yeah, we talked about one half of the Bash Brothers and Doug Day being part of that scary secondary. You can't forget about Brian Craven. He had a fantastic season last year with 103 tackles, along with 6 pass deflections and 2 interceptions.
So the 2 Bash Brothers, as they like to be called, come over from Lone Star to Louisiana. They'll go back to Jack again, and he's blown up again by Brian Craven. A very welcome addition to what has been a ferocious Louisiana defense in the past couple of years. They stonewall Logan Jack on 3 straight attempts, and now a decision for Harish Prasad and company.
Yeah, an absolutely bone-crushing tackle there by the veteran Brian Craven. He's got the defensive awareness to find that pursuit for the running back every time. Just a bone-crushing hit.
We'll elect to go with a field goal attempt for Whistle Jones, and one of the more solid kickers in the SFL in more ways than one, knocks it through from 19 yards, no problem. So after the punt, the 3 and out forced by the Skyhawk defense, Carolina turns that into 3 points on their opening drive.
Not too bad of a start, but I believe that they were hoping to get that 7 from that Heath McDaniel Jr. catch from earlier. But it's good to get some points now instead of waiting for later to get them.
Yeah, good point. I mean, you look at it from the other way. They get inside the 2-yard line. 1st and goal from the 2. Revolution forced them to go -1 yards over the next 3 plays and hold them to just 3 points. Big hit on Twin Screw on the return. And the Revolution will start off their 2nd drive from the 27. If you're new to the SFL, the Simulation Football League combines traditional sports, esports, and a role-playing game into one. Team strategies are being executed in real time by our simulations as real-life players compete on the virtual gridiron. For more information about the SFL, visit our website at www.simulationfl.net. The SFL, we put the fan in fantasy. Utah in his first game in the major leagues, and for the 2nd straight drive, he is sacked on the first play of the drive. Ryan Ray, the sophomore defensive end, leads the pack.
Yeah, coming from Las Vegas, Ryan Ray looking to make an impact with the Skyhawks here this season, and what a way to start things off for him. 2nd drive for Louisiana, 1st play, like you said, Sack City.
Had 7 sacks in the regular season a year ago. Ryan Ray, as a rookie, added 2 more in the playoffs for Las Vegas, a game they ultimately lost to the Florida Storm. Utah from the pocket will flip it out, trying to get to Cameron Collier, the new fullback for the Revolution, also coming over from the Lone Star Glory. Like the Bash Brothers that we mentioned, he is stopped for a loss.
Yeah, and that was a decent look from Tommy Utah, finding Collier on that check down pass, but Carolina's pursuit to Collier was pretty quick and got him behind the line.
Suddenly here, Brad, for the 2nd straight drive, it's a 3rd and very long for the Revolution. No drop back from Utah, fires over the middle, it's caught. He gets 15 yards through the air, but unfortunately for Louisiana, they needed 17. Monte Wyatt makes the stop. Chase Earl, the number 1 wideout, on the catch. That brings up 4th down.
It's a great idea from Tommy Utah to look deep here, but maybe waiting for another split second longer for Earl to get past the 1st down yardage line might have helped them, but another 3 and out, and Carolina's defense is looking pretty sharp to start things off.
Gain of 15 through the air for Chase Earl, and if he goes off today, he will surpass the 2,000-yard mark in his career. He's 100 yards from that right now after that catch. But either way, it's the second straight punt for Walter Melanishin in his pro debut. Carolina gets a couple of folks out there. Fair catch is called for and made by Harish Prasad. Let's introduce you to the Carolina offense. We like to do that here in the SFL. Matt South is the quarterback. The fifth-year man from North Carolina, Logan Jack, is the running back. The wide receivers, Harish Prasad, Heath McDaniel Jr., and Sam Avalos. A pair of tight ends, Tony Zoma and Vince DeSantis. And the kicker, you've seen him already, is Whistle Jones. Matt South engineers a drive resulting in a field goal in his first drive wearing the Carolina all-whites here on the road. Louisiana wearing the dark tops as the home team. South all day fires. It's Harish Prasad getting a step behind the defense as he often does. Evan Arthur was beaten. He makes the tackle and a big gain through the air for Prasad once again.
The biggest thing about Harish Prasad's game is how lightning fast he is with his feet. He can break through and get himself away from secondary so quick. He's one of the best in the league in doing that. And in this play, that's exactly what happened. He got himself enough space for a catch, and Carolina moving down the field again.
Already the sixth completion for Matt South in this game. And on one play, the Skyhawks are into enemy territory with a 3-0 lead. Empty set this time for South. 4 wides. Steps, throws over the middle. McDaniel has a step behind the defense. Heath McDaniel breaks through a tackle, and Rolliman Hood pulls him down at the goal line. That could have been a 48-yard touchdown, but Rolliman Hood saves Louisiana, at least for now.
I know that people can't see me from the booth here, but I got my hands on my head right now. What an amazing 2 sets of plays from Carolina. The Prasad pass to the left, and this time Heath McDaniel Jr. for the second time in 2 drives is inches away from the end zone. Carolina firing on all cylinders.
Our stats team telling us 25 yards to Prasad, 47 to Heath McDaniel Jr. Now 1st and goal from the goal line. South will throw, floating it back of the end zone. It's caught, touchdown. The 3rd wide receiver on this team gets involved. They go to Prasad, they go to McDaniel, and then Sam Avalos caps it off, the first touchdown of the season for the Skyhawks.
Carolina's offense is on every cylinder that you can think of, even their opponent's cylinders at this point. With Sam Avalos finishing off an impressive drive, everybody was involved in that wide receiver core, as you said before. And now Carolina rocking a 2-possession lead. We're not even out of the first quarter yet. Wow, what a start for Carolina.
Avalos had only 1 touchdown all season last year in season 16 for the Skyhawks, and he opens his account here in week 1 in season 17, a campaign that the Skyhawks are hoping goes a whole lot better than the last couple have. Jones tacks in the PAT, no surprise. Shout out to Rolliman Hood from earlier. He's in the chat. You can join us if you're watching us here on Twitch, which you are, twitch.tv/Simulationfl. I must have misread something, Rolliman, so my apologies. Greensboro, North Carolina. A city I'm very familiar with, in fact. That's where he's from. So he is actually one of the many North Carolinians that is in this game, either on the field or in the booth as it happens, playing against the team that is based in Raleigh, owned by a couple of brothers from the state of North Carolina. Deep kickoff fielded in the end zone by Mike Twinscrew. Spin move for Twinscrew, putting the screws into the turf as he often does, and trying to get Louisiana some kind of positive start after they have gone. I mean, how about this as just a contrast for these first 2 drives? 3 and outs for Louisiana on their first 2. Carolina's put up 10 points on their first 2.
Yeah, Louisiana needs to find something going on with their offense to get back in this game. I would suggest looking for Reggie Streeter.
Haven't seen him too much, have we? Only 1 carry for him over their first 2 drives. Utah will throw on first down. Slings it top of the screen. It's caught for a nice gain on first down. A pickup of 5 for the Revolution. For 83, Hooper Xavier, one of the backup wide receivers, makes the catch.
What a fantastic name that is. Hooper Xavier. Getting the catch there. A nice little out route to the side there. 5 yards. That's progression that Louisiana needs. Give me a Streeter run, though.
Louisiana loves their funky names, as I'm sure we will see at some point over this broadcast. Here goes Reggie Streeter. Point for you, Brett, and -1 point for Streeter. -1 yard as well. He is blasted by Chad Stinson.
Yeah, and it seems like Carolina's ready for Reggie Streeter here, even though he's had 2 carries. It's not been a lot of yardage for him, if anything, so far. They need to get that offense going, Louisiana, and they need to get it quick.
3rd and 5, third straight possession, dealing with the third down, but this is the most manageable of the three. Utah over the middle, it's dropped. The receiver was hit as he tried to bring it in. Great coverage at the last second by the Skyhawks secondary. That's Monte Wyatt, the sophomore safety. But that could have been Louisiana's first down of the season. Instead, that'll bring up another punt.
As a wide receiver, I know how tough it is to hold on to a catch when you're rocked the second you have it in your hands. It's just you feel that feeling in your chest that like before you go on a date kind of thing. That's just like almost like nervous energy after you get hit. It feels like that almost.
Your quarterback needs to help you avoid that feeling as much as possible, right? And Utah was not able to do that for his wide receiver twin screw that time. Another high kick from Melanishin. And Prasad, as we've talked about already on this game, Brett, has a knack for returning kicks, has done that in the past over his very good SFL career, but he's not been able to return any of these 3 punts so far. The hang time has been too good. He's had to make a fair catch on every one. But we're inside of 2 minutes now of this first quarter. 3 3-and-outs for Louisiana, 10 points for Carolina. What can they do with take 3? South will check it down to Logan Jack, tries to spin. He gets plastered after a gain of 3.
Yeah, and Louisiana needs to limit the game of Logan Jack here because he's starting to get a little bit of momentum going, as well as Matt South. So they need to pursue both South and Jack as much as possible and try to limit that Carolina offense. And it's a decent start here with only a 3-yard gain.
That Matt South's got 130 passing yards already. In his last game in Portland, total, he had 163 passing yards in 4 quarters. South will throw it here, looking for Jack. It's tipped. A risky pass from South, his most risky so far. And Evan Arthur, who also knows a thing or two about takeaways, reaches up to swat it down.
3 interceptions last year, and he's also a threat for pick sixes. He had 1 last year. And he had that deflection. I feel like he had a chance to maybe grab that ball, but I think he went with the conservative and safe way just to bat the ball down.
Skyhawks will spread it out once again. Empty set on 3rd down and 7 for South. Over the middle, looking for a tight end, and the pass is caught by Tony Zoma, a former fullback and another North Carolina native, and another 3rd down conversion for Carolina.
Yeah, and Zoma doing a good job being the TE1 for Carolina here, as he also have Vince DeSantis there last season's mid-season signing there. So he's going to be reliant on those middle corner route passes that South will probably be throwing all season.
Fantastic start to the Carolina career of Matt South. And South went west the last couple of years to play for Portland, now going east to play in Raleigh, but today truly going south to play in the Bayou in Houma, Louisiana. Here is Logan Jack with a sidestep and a pickup of 9 as we tick down under 30 seconds left in the first quarter. Chuck Diesel, the middle linebacker from scenic Utica, New York, on the stop.
And there's still a lot of SFL running backs that are all power based. But when you look at Logan Jack, he's kind of like no pun intended, jack of all trades. He's got both power and finesse in him, which is always great to see.
2nd and 1, back they go to Jack, and he runs right into the defensive line this time. Luther Gond, who had about as big of a discrepancy from year 1 to year 2 in the SFL that any defensive player can have. He gets a TFL here to start his season 17. We're done with 1 in the Bayou. Carolina leads Louisiana 10-0. This is the SFL on Twitch.
Last season, we got to put that in.
Their way here in the second quarter from Houma, Louisiana, and Sam Avalos with the grab over the middle. As we come back from break, Brett Solberg alongside me, Tim Hackett, with Andy Hamilton and Eddie Gage. Cameron Irvine working hard behind the scenes. Happy to have you with us. This is the Simulation Football League presented by APM Music on Twitch. Last game of 6 of the day. Now out of the break, South will go back to Logan Jack through the air. He picks up a gain of just a couple. Everybody on this Carolina offense we were talking about in the break, Brett, getting involved so far, it seems.
Yeah, we've had a lot of connections. Matt South is just hitting everyone that he can at this point. We've seen passes completed to Avalos, to McDaniel Jr., to Prasad and Zoma.
Second and 7 from inside the red zone. South will step up, throwing from the line of scrimmage, and it's caught by Heath McDaniel Jr., who for the second time in this game is tackled between the 1-yard line and the goal line.
What do you think, Tim? Did South cross the line of scrimmage as he threw that ball? That's a tough decision there to make, and that's exactly what Louisiana is doing.
Well done, Brett, the 9-year SFL veteran. That's 2 correct calls in terms of challenges by you across the action today, at least just from what I've heard, and we'll see what happens. The first challenge call of the season for these two sides. So Gerald Smith, the veteran, was challenging if South was indeed behind the line of scrimmage. What do you think?
It's that foot. You gotta look at the foot more than anything else, and it looks like it's gonna stay.
Wow, the call stands. So Gerald Smith thought he saw something funky. Thought he saw something that didn't quite pass the rules, and R62, everybody's favorite member of the SFL, sees otherwise. So that gain to Heath McDaniel Jr. will stand. He's up close to 100 yards receiving, and we've just started the second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
First and goal from the 1 with Carolina already up 10. The 3-back set. South takes his time. The give to Logan Jack. Stutter steps through traffic, and he scores a touchdown for the Wolverine, and Carolina extends the lead on the road.
Yeah, and Carolina continues that forward momentum and just breaking out in this game. Carolina that was ready to play from kickoff. It's just been an amazing showing so far in this first quarter and 1 minute. Louisiana has a huge hill to climb now.
8 total touchdowns for Jack last season, 5 on the ground, 3 through the air, and he's got 1 here in week 1. Russell Jones on once again. Down from Jamison Klein, and the PAT from the big kicker Whistle Jones sails through. This is a interesting start to this game. The road team on top big early. We don't see this very often in the SFL, Brett, but after 2 very close games in the early window in the SFL in the kickoff to season 17, the final scores in those 2 games, 31-23 and 31-24, 2 lopsided games in the second window. Question was, how would these 2 games in the late window go? And so far, Carolina all over the Revs on the road. Brand new stadium as Twin Screw drops the ball and is picked up by Monte Wyatt. And Carolina continues to pile it on. Twin Screw loses the ball on the kickoff return, and Monte Wyatt scoops it up. His first career score, all Carolina.
And if you think that Louisiana's having a bad start to this game, it just got worse with a big hit from on Mike Twinscrew, just a pushing tackle there, and Monty Wyatt is the man in the right place in the right time, picks it up and saunters home for 6.
85 in the white, Holden McNeil cracks down on Twinscrew to force the fumble, and Monte Wyatt, who had a great rookie season, led the team in tackles as a rookie. That doesn't happen often. Has his first touchdown of this season. Unbelievable start for the Skyhawks. Whistle Jones, who was just kicking a PAT about 20 seconds of game time ago, is on once again, and he's got it again. He's a perfect 4 of 4 on all of his kicks, and Carolina continues to pour it on here in the first half.
Yeah, you got to think Whistle Jones' leg is starting to get tired already here with all these kicks that he's done between kickoffs and field goals and extra points. He's getting a real workout in his leg.
14 points for Carolina in the first minute and 44 seconds approximately of the second quarter. Insane. Another kickoff for Jones, another return attempt for Twinscrew. He's able to hold on to the ball at least a little bit that time and get out to the 25, which is about where Louisiana has started every possession. Visit the SFL League website at simulationfl.net for info on how to create a player to join our community, the league, and the teams that play in it, and a comprehensive history of the SFL. It's over 1,500 games, and it's thousands of players who have hit the virtual field. The Simulation Football League, 17 seasons strong. Louisiana and their various incarnations have been part of this league for about the last half dozen seasons. This season is not off to a good start, but that's a better look as Tommy Utah links up with B.E. Robo, his first catch of this season and the first down of the season for Louisiana.
And it starts with just getting a first down at this point. It looks to be Garrison Blue that got the catch there on a nice little out route down to the sideline, twinkling his toes on the sideline, getting that catch, and a much-needed first down for Louisiana.
Yeah, minus 1 point for me. You're right, 86 Blue, not 88 Robo, but I was right because neither of them had a catch. Neither of them had a target before that play, and Blue picks up the first down for Louisiana. Pump fake for Utah. Tosses top of the screen. That's caught for a gain of 7 by Chase Earl. He is able to haul that one in. And now let's introduce you to the Louisiana offense. You've heard from most of them at this point because we just went through a couple of them on those last two plays. Tommy Utah, the quarterback, Reggie Streeter, the tailback, Cameron Collier, the fullback, wideouts Chase Earl, B.E. Robo, and Mike Twinscrew, the tight end, Garrison Blue, and the kicker we haven't seen yet, Otis Boudreau, another North Carolinian. On the ground, they go to Streeter, tries to power through, and he's wrenched down at the end of the run. A nice tackle to prevent the first down by safety Kane Vasquez.
Now, this is the first extended time that we can talk about Reggie Streeter here. His third attempt, he's only at 5 yards so far. This is very unorthodox to see very few runs from Reggie Streeter, but if you look at the Carolina offense, they just scored a bunch of points right away, so they've pretty much neutralized them.
They haven't been able to do anything, and especially because Louisiana keeps getting into third down and long. They will go to him on third and short, and they try to feed him anyway, Brett, but Carolina was up to the task. David Ware, the rookie first-round pick, the 4th overall selection by the Skyhawks in the draft, with his first big impact play as a major leaguer, another 4th down coming.
Yeah, and David Ware was one of those guys where you could think he could have gone anywhere from the top 5 picks there, and he managed to get 4th overall to Carolina, and just a big impact to start off his SFL career.
Another high punch from Walter Melanishin, another fair catch for Harish Prasad, another failed drive for Louisiana. This time they do get a first down, so it's not a 3 and out, but the Revs are 0 for their first 4. On third down conversion attempts. Carolina is 3 of its first 4 on third down attempts, excuse me. Stark contrast, if another contrast was needed, to how this game has started. South from under center has a man wide open this way. It's Logan Jack. This is a play that Carolina runs a lot. He picks up 2. Let's introduce you to the Louisiana defense. The defensive line, haven't gotten to hear from them at all. Matt South has been quick to work. Leonard Butler Sr. and Derek Jenko, the defensive ends. Defensive tackles, Luther Gond and Chance Wall. Linebackers, Chuck Diesel and Brian Craven. And this secondary, which we've talked so much about. There's a look at Evan Arthur. He and Rolliman Hood are the corners. The safeties, Tank Bennett, Doug Day, and Mike Ryan. 2nd and 8. The give to the up back from South, and that time Jack was lined up a little bit off center. He picks up 1. Luther Gond on the stop.
Yeah, with Carolina having essentially a 4-possession lead at this point, we're probably going to see a lot of looks to Logan Jack here just to shed down the clock already in this second quarter, which is so rare to see in this league.
Kidding. This league is known for its close games, though. Every once in a while, you get something different. On third down, the pass over the middle is caught. Sam Avalos once again with the link up from Matt South. And after Avalos was really an afterthought at times last season with Xander Gold as the quarterback, he looks to be loving playing with Matt South.
Yeah, and it looks to be a little bit more of a different approach to
Did
the
he
Carolina.
Catch that?
It looks like he did.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, Brad. I thought for sure he dropped that on the way down.
I felt like he got that.
All right, my fault. So, all right, Avalos will take it. Carolina will take it as well. South will throw over the middle again into coverage this time. Swatted away. Evan Arthur was right there. Prasad was the target.
Yeah, that's has to be on just on that last bit of that play there. That has to be a frustration push from Mike Ryan there, just absolutely obliterating that wide receiver, pushing him back like 4 yards. That's some newfound strength from Mike Ryan.
Know this team is proud, Brett. I mean, that is one of the things that you know about Louisiana, especially over the last couple of years. These players, these teammates, they are very proud of each other. They're proud of the success that they had 2 seasons ago. You know they're not happy with what's going on right now. As South links up with Harish Prasad and a touchdown saving tackle by the sophomore Mike Ryan. That is not easy to catch up to Harish Prasad, and Ryan certainly saved 6 points with that.
Yeah, it's another big catch from Harish Prasad again, getting himself separation. Someone said in the chat earlier on that Prasad is one of the best route runners in the SFL, and I have to agree with them on that. One of the best route receivers, one of the best wide receivers in general in the league, I would say.
I couldn't agree more. And if you're saying that one of the best wide receivers in league history, it's high praise indeed. Harish gets Carolina to the 25. Drop back this time for South. He'll toss it up top. Logan Jack is crunched as he picks up 5 through the air. What a start for Matt South. Already close to 250 passing yards. And frankly, without, burying the man too much, this was not something that we saw from him very much over the last 2 years of Portland, a team that was figuring it out in a lot of ways, an expansion team that entered the league in season 15. They didn't win a ton of games over their first 2 years. South threw a lot more interceptions than he did touchdowns over his 2 seasons with the Fleets. He looks like a new man playing with this brand new team. On the ground, they'll go to Jack. He picks up 3 this time, wrenched down by a trio of Revolution players, including Chance Wall, the rookie second-round pick.
Going back to Matt South, like you said, we did not see this from Matt South the season prior. I mean, this man had less than a touchdown pass per game. He only had 11 touchdowns this past season to his 21 interceptions.
3rd and 2. South has time. Fires over the middle. Man wide open. Touchdown, Carolina. They continue to pour it on. Matt South strikes again. This time, no one can stop Heath McDaniel Jr. from getting into the end zone. It's 30-0 Skyhawks.
Yeah, and McDaniel Jr. finally crossing the end zone line in what felt like he should have had 3 at this point. He's just been fighting all through this first half to get that touchdown. He's well over the 100-yard mark. Matt South is close to 275 yards already. Carolina's passing offense has been outstanding this half.
I mean, let's be honest, Brett. This is not something that we've seen out of Carolina over the last couple of years. Again, they've won 5 games each of the last 2 seasons, so it's not like they've been a basement team, but this kind of electric offense, this highfalutin, high-powered offense, great passing attack, that's something that you guys do in Vancouver week in and week out. Carolina likes to run the ball. They like to check it down to Logan Jack. They like to play great defense, especially from their secondary. In my 2+ seasons in the SFL, I have never seen Carolina put together a performance like this. We're not even halfway through, so we'll press pause on some things a little bit. But I mean, at first bluff, this is just an incredible performance from the Skyhawks.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Another deep kick. Twin Screw hesitates a little bit on the return, remembering perhaps what happened to him a couple of returns ago, and he gets out to the 22-yard line. This offensively for Louisiana, they've got to start somewhere. They've picked up their first down of the game on their last possession, but they've had to punt early in possessions, each of their first 4 possessions. Meanwhile, Carolina has scored every time, and they have a special teams touchdown. They've just been outworked so far here in the first half. Give to Reggie Streeter. This is a good guy to start with, but he's going the wrong way, trying to break out of a hit, and he ends up running into about more or less 5 Skyhawks, and now he's up to 0 net rushing yards, as you see right there. What a start.
I'm flabbergasted right now. just looking at that line that we just saw and having full zeros right beside Reggie Streeter's name. Remember, this is a guy that had back-to-back 2,000-yard seasons.
Exactly. And 2,000-yard seasons and the SFL MVP from a couple of seasons ago has yet to get going. That is a nice start for Tommy Utah. That link up between him and Chase Earl has been locked in so far. Earl is one of the more solid wide receivers in the SFL, off the best season of his career a year ago, despite playing with a couple of different quarterbacks, 55 catches, 730 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Now his 4th total season, 3rd with Louisiana. Native of Andalusia, Alabama. A couple of folks in the SFL are from that neck of the woods. 3rd down and 5, and a deep drop for Utah, slinging it this way. Pass is caught. 1st down for Louisiana. Mike Twinscrew has his first grab and the first 3rd down conversion of the game for the Revs.
Yeah, and then Louisiana just needs to shake everything off that they've seen from Carolina, and they just need to progress forward as they go. And another 1st down grab for Mike Twinscrew. His first catch, if I'm not mistaken, in this game. They just got to ride this little momentum that they have right now.
But you are first catch for Twinscrew. Earl has 3. Blue has the only other catch for Utah until now, as he checks it down to Reggie Streeter. He runs into a couple of Carolina Skyhawks, including Monte Wyatt. Let's introduce you to the rest of the Carolina defense. The defensive line, Phil Hall, the 9th-year veteran in the middle, with John Nevels and Ryan Ray on the outside. This linebacking core looks completely different from how it did a season ago. Shravan Prasad, the mainstay in the middle, with Chad Stinson and David Ware. And the Skyhawks employ 6 in the secondary. It's not something that everybody does. Utah, deep drop, floats it over the middle, has him in, and a diving catch is made by Chase Earl. You want a way to get back into a ball game? There you go. Great play for Tommy Utah.
Yeah, that's the first deep throw that we've seen in a little while from Tommy Utah. It's not that he's even had a bad start to this first half here. He's close to 100 yards after this catch, and he's finding good chemistry already with Chase Earl with his 4th catch here. So maybe they just need to ride that momentum and keep going to Chase Earl when he's open.
He's really not been that bad, Utah. He just hasn't been consistent, and the rest of his team has not been able to help them pick up 1st downs. Utah pump fake over the middle. Another man is open, and he's got it inside the 10. The Revs are starting to cook. There is B.E. Robo, their number 3 wide receiver, his first catch of the season. 1st down and goal coming up for Louisiana.
Yeah, this is what they want to see here. Tommy Utah's now cooking. This is the rustler in Tommy Utah that we've seen in the SFLM. So we need to find that throughout the rest of the game for Louisiana, firstly, to get back in this game, and secondly, to see if Louisiana can get some points out of this drive.
Exactly what you and Andy Hamilton were calling for in our last break, Brett. Some diversity in this Louisiana offense. On the ground, they go to Streeter, breaks out of a tackle, was able to sniff the end zone, but was kept out of it at the last second by Chad Stinson.
And you have to think with Louisiana offense, all their plays that they're running right now are with fire in their eyes. They have to be absolutely angry at the deficit that they have here. And now they are close to the end zone, getting their first points in the game.
2 minutes left, 2 yards to go for the Revolution as they try to claw back into this game. You're watching the Simulation Football League presented by APM Music on Twitch. 2 minutes left in the first half from Stack Up Stadium. The Revolution knocking on the door for the first time in this contest. The one-back set, Reggie Streeter gets the carry, and there it is indeed. First points of the season for the Revolution, coming courtesy, who else, of Reggie Streeter.
Yeah, Reggie Streeter is I don't know if anybody can disagree with me with this, but Reggie Streeter is the face of the Louisiana Revolution, and getting those first points of the season from him is big, and hopefully this starts the forward momentum that Louisiana wants and gets inching closer and closer in this game.
I don't think there's any doubt about that, Brett. And some of the guys that they've brought in over the last couple of years, they've tried to bring in to run as some of the party alongside Reggie Streeter. Guys like Johnny Pickler, who is one of the faces of the SFL for multiple reasons, tried to bring him in the last couple of years to run tandem with Reggie Streeter. But when you talk about the Louisiana Revolution, we said this in the first quarter, every time that the Revolution play the game, the spotlight is on Reggie Streeter. He is the best player on this offense. There is no question about that. On the defensive side, Tank Bennett is a superstar, if you ask me. Chuck Diesel has had his moments in this league. They add in a guy like Brian Craven. They've got some pieces on this defense, no doubt about it. But if you ask me, I agree with you. There's no doubt that Reggie Streeter is the best player on this team, and he shows you why right there. A risky kick return attempt for Harish Prasad as he nearly spins into his own end zone, and he's able to turn that into a return of nearly 30 yards. Could have been catastrophic for Carolina, but it ends up being a pretty good first return of the year for Harish Prasad.
That's been the story for Carolina for what a lot of people thought would be a little bit of a warning sign for Carolina has become very, very much good luck. A decent kick return there.
Carolina will start off. First possession that did not start after a Louisiana punt.
Nice.
Check it down to Logan Jack and a pickup of 7 through the air for Jack.
Yeah, and it's just going to be slow and methodical from Carolina here on out, unless they want to keep playing aggressive that we've seen in the last couple passing plays. But I think they might play a little bit more conservative, considering that it's a 31-7 game in the second quarter.
That's what I was going to ask you. With 90 seconds left in the half and a lead this big, how aggressive would you want to see Carolina be? And I guess the answer is not that aggressive. We'll see what Harish Prasad and company try to do. On second down and 3, left side they go. And another first down for Carolina. That's a way to move the sticks.
And they're going to doing the hurry up here. This is interesting.
Yeah, this is interesting. Remember, both teams have all 3 timeouts. Louisiana just now set at the top of the screen. Again, they'll go to Jack. Tries to get a block. None really coming. Brian Craven was there to help along with Evan Arthur. Gain of 1.
Yeah, I think they have the ball in the second half as well, so this is very, very interesting.
Right you are about that. Jack again, the give. Louisiana was all over that one. I think about 5 different players wearing the Louisiana home dark uniforms touched Logan Jack at some point. Evan Arthur will get credit with the tackle. Just an absolute jailbreak and a great defensive play from the refs.
Yeah, and that's what the Revolution defense need to continue doing, especially with this 46 seconds left in the first half and carrying it on to the second half. They're probably going to have a long talk in the locker room at halftime.
I actually lied. The teams did not have all 3 timeouts. Remember, Louisiana failed a challenge earlier. South will throw, top of the screen, caught well short of the first down by Sam Avalos, who continues to have a big impact in this game, and that'll bring up the first 4th down situation for Carolina in this game.
And I don't think Carolina really minds taking this 4th down either, considering that after this punt, it's probably going to go into halftime if they have the hang time right and everything. And hopefully for the Carolina fans that there's no kick 6 return on this as well.
That would be a way to spark plug Louisiana back into this game for sure. Skyhawks will have to snap this, but they will be able to snap it with about 3 seconds left on the game clock. First look at Mike Johnson, the non-contract punter for the Skyhawks. He sends it away, and with 0 showing on the clock, fair catch is called for and made by Mike Twinscrew, so they won't have any Cade Stevens-esque magic to end the first half. And frankly, not a lot of magic to be had for the Revolution. They were talking about a renaissance here in the Bayou. Right now, the Skyhawks talking about a smackdown, 31-7 after the first half.
And to take a quote that everybody knows, I think Rome wasn't built in a day. And it looks like, and if you're looking for a renaissance in Louisiana, right now this first half, it just ain't happening. Matt South is having the game of his career, it feels like. 271 on just 3 incompletions. He's got a near perfect quarterback rating, and that's been the entire story of Carolina. It's just been Matt South feeding the ball around, mostly to Heath McDaniel Jr. and his Buck 13, but it's just been all cylinders go for the Skyhawks. And Louisiana, like I said a little bit earlier, they're going to have a very long talk in the locker room to see what's wrong, what they need to fix, and how they're going to fix it. So I would love to see a comeback here in this second half. I don't know about you, Tim.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's what we all want for sure. And Louisiana showed some signs of life down the stretch of that second quarter, obviously with that very well engineered touchdown drive capped off by the short run from Reggie Streeter. But just about everything Carolina did on offense, including these deep shots to guys like Harish Prasad, intermediate routes to guys like Keith McDaniel Jr., and all the little things that Logan Jack likes to do, it was really just confluence of variables, if you will, for Carolina, where just about everything offensively and, hey, defensively as well went right. And to your point, Matt South, look at working on a career game, 268 passing yards in the first half. He totaled 2,181 passing yards, 2,181 last season for the Portland Fleet, an average of 182 per game in his second season as the Fleet starting quarterback, and he's got nearly 100 more than that average through 2 quarters. The biggest reason why Carolina is off to a massive lead. Happy to have you with us here from the Bayou. Carolina and Louisiana, the final game of 6 on this season opening Saturday. Harish Prasad will try to kickstart things. Happy to have you. Tim Hackett and Brett Solberg in the booth. Andy Hamilton and Eddie Gage in the truck. Cameron Irvine working hard behind the scenes. We've got 6 more games coming your way tomorrow. You can see that on the bottom right of your screen on For the Fans. It all starts off at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Lone Star against Mexico City, a South Division battle, in a division that was just enthralling a season ago. And then at 2:45 Eastern on For the Fans, Atlanta at London. 2 teams that are looking to rebound just like these 2 are. High pass from South is intercepted. Louisiana, one of the best takeaway teams in the SFL. Mike Ryan has his first as a Rev.
Mr. Netman, Mike Ryan with an impressive interception to start this second half, giving that positive momentum that there must have been a spark that flew in that Louisiana locker room, where the first defensive play that they get is an interception, and they are in enemy territory to start things off in the third quarter.
How about a way to start this second half? No question about it. Exactly what the doctor ordered for the Revolution. The secondary, the strength of their defense, as we've talked about, comes up with a takeaway and sets up the offense inside enemy territory, as you say. First pass for Tommy Utah of the second half, his first game in the major leagues. A quick check down to Reggie Streeter. He picks up 1. Going into this offseason, Brett, it seems like half the teams in the SFL, and there are 24 of them now, almost half the teams in this league needed a quarterback. So some of them go into free agency. Some of them dip into a time machine like you and I saw earlier and pick up Marcus Dunhill out of retirement. So Carolina gets Matt South in free agency. Louisiana gets Tommy Utah in the draft, one of 5 quarterbacks drafted this year. Reggie Streeter on the carry, picks up a couple. David Ware helps bring him down. And in fact, Utah was the first of those 5 quarterbacks selected, the number 5 overall pick. Another one went right after him, O.J. Bruin at 6. 3 total quarterbacks in the first round, 5 total quarterbacks drafted. And so a lot of focus on the new gunslingers across the league. These 2 guys here, 2 new players, obviously, 2 new quarterbacks in 2 new locations. Utah trying to make the most of his first game as a pro. Utah steps up, sidearm throw, looking for Collier, the fullback, hit behind the line of scrimmage, and another great TFL, a rallying tackle made by this Carolina defense. I think that was Wyatt again. Might have been Mark Martin, actually, 39 on the stop. Either way, another 4th down.
Yeah, and Louisiana, despite getting an interception, just no forward momentum on that drive. And another punt going from Louisiana to Carolina. It's just not what you want to see from Louisiana.
Frankly, the best word I can think of there, Brett Solberg, is squandered. Louisiana wastes that opportunity. Great punt, though, from Melanishin, and a sliding stop is made, barely keeping it out of the end zone is number 27, Tank Bennett, that standout safety. They will start Carolina inside the 5. The chat reminding me about Dave Burr, who had a killer game for Houston earlier this afternoon. Another one of those 5 drafted quarterbacks. You and I got to see Eric Price, another one of those 5 drafted quarterbacks, make his debut earlier today for Denver, the reigning champs. He looked great, was the player of the game in that one. Tommy Utah trying to join the party and have a better second half. South under pressure, fires down the seam, caught, and that's a way to rebound from throwing that pick. Ryan on the stop, but he was not able to get in front of Harish Prasad.
Yeah, and what's unorthodox about this one is that they were passing inside the 5. We usually see run plays from inside their own 5-yard line, but when you have the best route runner in the SFL and Harish Prasad, why not gun it deep from the 4 to get yourself out of deep territory like that? Now Carolina can breathe free a little bit and continue this momentum.
You have somebody like that on your team, why not utilize them? Couldn't agree anymore. Pickup of 23 through the sky for the Skyhawks. They'll check it down this time, looking for Jack, and a couple of players are there, including Doug Day. We mentioned them. They like to call themselves the Bash Brothers, Doug Day and Brian Craven, two guys from Guthrie, Oklahoma. Spent the last couple of years with Lone Star. They move over here to Louisiana. I think it's a great fit for the two of them, Brett. I mean, if you ask me, these two teams, two franchises have similar identities, similar personalities among them. I thought Lone Star was a great spot for those two guys, but after 2 seasons, they shift over to the east a little bit to the Bayou and join the Revolution. Over the middle, South's pass is caught by Tony Zoma, second catch of the day for the tight end.
And rewinding back to the Bash Brothers, we know about their love for Twinkies. I'm just wondering if there's a larger Twinkie supply in Louisiana than there is at Lone Star. So that might be one of their motivations to come to Louisiana.
I can't confirm or deny that report. Maybe they can tell us that as we come along this season. 3rd and 6, pump fake for South over the middle into traffic, looking for Zoma again, and it's knocked away by Chuck Diesel. A solid middle linebacker at 8 tackles for loss and 8 pass deflections a season ago. Gets his arms on that one.
Yeah, and so far with the 2 Carolina drives, one ending in an interception, and now one ending in a 4th down punt here. This is positive momentum for Louisiana. Now it just needs to translate on the offensive side of the ball. We've seen them get 1 touchdown here, but they need to continue getting these touchdowns, get back in this game.
This will be just the 2nd punt of the game for Carolina. They were lethal in that first half. Just about every possession ended in points of some kind. And of course, that special teams touchdown to make it 31-0. Louisiana scored to end the first half. Ooh, that punt nearly blocked from Mike Johnson. Twinscrew waiting for it, makes the catch. He'll try to return, and a nice move from Mike Twinscrew, who has returned kicks in the past. Former minor league champion with the Madison Lynx in the first season of the SFLM, and a lot of credit was given to him for steering the ship, Brett, in season 15, helping Louisiana navigate some rough waters off the field and helping the Revolution, even in the midst of all of that, into the semifinals, into a first-round bye, a 9-3 record, the best record in franchise history. The season ended in the semifinals, but still a fantastic season that they were not able to duplicate last year. There's a great pass from Utah and a first down for the Revolution right onto the magic yellow line, and Twinscrew right on cue makes a catch.
Yeah, and like you said, with Louisiana, with a lot of, would you say maybe controversy within these last couple of seasons with differing situations? I think this season their approach is to be without any like setbacks or any bad news coming from their end. But right now, it's not a good start.
Control what you can control is always the message, and they're trying their best to control the message and move on from that for sure. And Reggie Streeter, one of the holdovers from that. And look at that. I mean, it's not been a great day on the ground for either of these two running backs, as you see right there, but the difference in the passing game. And like we said, I mean, it's not even been a bad game by any means for Utah so far, but South just loads better.
Yeah, South almost at 300 yards already. Can you believe that?
No, I cannot. I'll have to look and see how many times he did that in Portland. I think we only need one hand to figure that out. Here goes Streeter. Stutter step. Nice move against Kristen Hatley, and then he's able to pick up the first down, and that is what Reggie Streeter can do.
Yeah, and Reggie Streeter, he's been known for his 85, 90, 95 yard runs, his 350, 6,000 yard games coming in. And it's just very unorthodox to see him here in only double digits heading into this third quarter, getting close to the fourth. But a good run here.
It is really hard to go over 2,000 yards in a season in this league. He's done that twice in his career. We'll tell you more about that as we go along. As Utah fires, it's caught for a gain of 5. That quick out route has worked multiple times. B.E. Robo on the catch, his second time. So to average 2,000 rushing yards in a 12-game season, Brett, you have to average 167 yards per game. over 12 games. That is a huge number. Streeter has been able to do that twice. Of course, he did that in season 15 en route to winning league MVP and getting his team to the semifinals. I'll go back to him here, trying to change his fortunes in this game. He stopped short of the stick, supposedly, an ankle tackle just barely.
Yeah, that's another close play there. You could sway it on either side there, whether it's a first down or not on that one. I believe they got the ball placement right just on the knees alone. But Reggie Streeter trying to turn this game around on his own. It looks like.
On the offset eye, Cameron Collier, another addition for this team in the offseason. A penalty flag flies. They'll go to Streeter. He's stonewalled before he can get to the first down. But Louisiana might have caught a break with this penalty flag.
They might have jumped here. We'll see what happens.
Neutral zone infraction, number 52.
Good call by you, Brett. Offsides against Carolina. That's number 52, Ryan Ray. We've talked about him, the sophomore defensive end from Zurich in Switzerland. Spent his rookie year with Las Vegas, coming over here to Carolina. There were some openings. Christopher Colon, the veteran defensive lineman, left the team after 7 seasons. Phil Hall is still here. This is his 9th season in the SFL, all with Carolina, but 2 other open spots in this defensive line enter Ryan Ray and John Nevels. Utah will throw. It's caught by Reggie Streeter, spins into Tristan Hatley, and Shrevon Prasad goes flying over the tackler to help make it look a little bit nicer, and Streeter picks up 5.
Yeah, I think Louisiana's doing the right thing. They're really relying on Reggie Streeter now. Tommy Utah, you still gotta remember, this is his first game in the SFL, so there might be a little bit of nerves. Despite him having an all right game in this first half, you still gotta rely on your face, essentially.
They will rely on him here. Streeter puts his back to the defense, only picks up a couple. Shrevon Prasad once again on the stop. Let's introduce you to the Carolina secondary. We haven't done that outright yet. 6 stars, like we said. Not everybody does that. They have loaded this defensive backfield to great success. The corners, Tristan Hatley, Mark Martin, and Davidson Joseph. And the safeties, Monte Wyatt, Daniel Valentine, and Kane Vasquez, the 8th-year veteran. 3rd down and 2. Louisiana inside the red zone. Here goes Streeter running outside. Daylight for Reggie Streeter. Touchdown. His 2nd score of the game. That's 13 unanswered points for the Revolution. And Louisiana is not dead yet.
Yeah, and Reggie Streeter is saying exactly what I thought it would be, and that's I'm going to carry this team on my back, and I'm going to see how far we can go with this one here. Now it's 13 unanswered points, like you said, and the momentum's got to ride. The rest of the team has to be with Reggie Streeter so that they can come back in this game. The lead is narrowing down. Like, we're seeing something here, but Louisiana needs to continue to ride this momentum and get closer in this game.
If you're new to the SFL, teams can construct their rosters however they want. You have a certain number of user players, star players, whatever you want to call it, that you can associate, you can assign to any role, as the PAT from Otis Boudreaux is up and good. So some teams like to use one of their roster players as a fullback. Some teams use a punter, like we see for Louisiana. Most teams use a kicker. Not every team does. These 2 teams do. But Louisiana uses a fullback, Cameron Collier, who they picked up in the offseason, and he was able to pave the way for Reggie Streeter with a fantastic one-on-one block. And from then on, it was all green grass for the former MVP. 14 unanswered points now for Louisiana. They are suddenly right back in this game, but a long way still to go. Deep kickoff this time from Boudreaux. His leg looks improved from year 2 to year 3, and a tough return that time for Harish Prasad. Visit the SFL website at simulationfl.net for links to apparel from Sector 6, the official apparel provider of the Simulation Football League, and SFL mini helmets from 97 Sports Promotions. Sector 6 features replica team jerseys and completely customized jackets, flags, t-shirts, and more. Get the gear the fans wear with Sector 6, 97 Sports Promotions, and the SFL. Carolina looking decked out with this scoreline so far, trying to get some traction here after halftime. South will throw it down. Short pass, caught once again by Logan Jack.
Yeah, it's a nice coverage on the left side. You can see all 3 receivers looking to go deep on those routes, and it looked like this Louisiana secondary had them pretty much checked. So Matt South had to go with his check down option and get a small gain instead of what could have been a long gain. So that's a good start for Louisiana defense.
Sometimes on offense, though, you got to cut your losses and just take what you can get in a 3-yard gain. Not the worst thing in the world. They will go back to Logan Jack. Here, spin move around Craven. Breaks through another tackle and somehow gets a first down. And this, Brett, is what Logan Jack can do. Carolina uses him through the air a lot. We talked about it 2 years ago. He led the league in catches by any player, not just running backs. Last year, he was 10th in the SFL and first on his team with 88 catches. They use him through the sky a lot, do the Skyhawks. And that's why.
Yeah, and I said earlier, a jack of all trades, but you also look at that. Oh, that was a big finesse play. You got 2 big spin moves, shedding himself out and getting that first down.
Basically just a bonus pass catcher for whoever happens to be throwing him the ball. South will throw here. It's caught on the near side for a gain of about 8. That's Heath McDaniel Jr. who makes yet another catch.
Yeah, and McDaniel Jr. having a game so far, and Matt South having a game so far as well. He's now over 300 yards in this game, which is just insane. If you would have told me this last season, I would have said, "Did he play against an SFLM team?" But it's crazy to see how quickly a player can turn around in just a small amount of time with a different team.
New team, new playbook, new coaches, new everything for Matt South, who is now Matt Southeast, as Jeff Melanishin said earlier. Here's the carry for Logan Jack. Nothing doing there. Great stand by this Louisiana defense. Craven was first in. Diesel helps clean it up.
Yeah, and that's what Louisiana wants to do. They're close to the first down line, and they just want to push them back. There's one more play, one more stop that they need to do so they can possibly get that ball back.
Momentum in their court if you believe in something like that. Less than 2 minutes left in the third. South to Jack, and once again, Louisiana is there. There's the stop you were looking for, Brett. Evan Arthur leads the way. Doug Day helps to bring down Jack. 4th down for Carolina.
Yeah, now, but with Carolina being in their own 44, there is an opportunity that this could be a deep punt. We'll have to see how far this punt goes and see how much field that Louisiana has to trudge down.
Talked about all the North Carolina representatives on these two teams. How about Matt South now playing for his hometown team? He's one of the North Carolinians on this roster. There are a half dozen or so on the Skyhawks, and now he's playing for his hometown team for the first time. The team based in Raleigh. Decent punt, and not a lot of room on the return there for Twin Screw. You don't think something like that matters all that much here in the SFL, but you never know.
I agree with you on that.
I mean, it must be nice for you as well. You could speak to that as well, right? Playing for the only team based north of the border.
Well, it's still a few hours of a flight to get to Vancouver, but considering it's the only Canadian team, I'll take it.
Yeah, you'll take it, right? I'm sure maybe there are some that are a little bit closer, but you got to take what you can get, right? Here's Utah first pass of this drive. Crossing route and a pickup of 6. Twin Screw with another catch. He was quiet early, but busy late.
Yeah, now that Louisiana's starting to make noise, now we're starting to see the wide receivers get into action a little bit more. Chase Earl has over 60 yards of receiving here. Tommy Utah has been pretty good so far in his debut with 16 of 18 passing. Just needs to find those deep passes now.
2nd and 4 for Tommy Utah. Streeter rides sidecar. Waits all day for Utah. Floats it right sideline, looking for Twin Screw again, and it's caught on the sideline once again. All day for Utah. That results in another first down. Check it. My fault. It's Robo.
Yeah, and that's a deeper pass for Tommy Utah there. And again, that forward momentum and B.E. Robo getting the toe tap in action on his way to the sideline and gets Louisiana another first down.
Like you talked about, the hallmark of this Carolina team, we talked about this for Louisiana, but their pass defense is what they stake their claim to defensively. Revolution have not tested that very often. They'll go to the air for Streeter, breaks out of a tackle and right on cue. Reggie Streeter turns a gain of about 5 into a gain that brings Louisiana all the way inside the 25. What a play, and what a way to end the third quarter. The Revolution are charging. They were down 31-0. They've made it a game. You're watching the Simulation Football League presented by APM Music live on Twitch. One more quarter to play from a brand new souped-up, stack-up stadium in Houma, Louisiana, alongside Brett Solberg with Andy Hamilton, Eddie Gage, and Cameron Irvine. I'm Tim Hackett. Happy to have you with us here as we kick off the 17th season of the SFL, and a big hit for Monte Wyatt on Reggie Streeter, who is having an interesting game, Brett, but more on that in a second. We've got a man down. It's tackle Sergei Katzlov. You see Garrison Blue ushering the medical staff over, and Katzlov went down hard at the end of that play.
And that's not what Louisiana wants here. They want to protect the quarterback as much as possible here. It looks like a little bit of a slip trying to protect Utah on that. That's a very unfortunate injury for Louisiana.
Ran into Phil Hall as he was trying to shove him off to get out to the second level, and Phil Hall stands at 6'6", 310, so not a fun guy to run into, even for the 315-pound Katzlov. They will run it to his side to Streeter, and Carolina was ready to plug up the sieve. A couple of Skyhawks were there, led by the rookie David Ware.
Yeah, and that's not what you want to see right afterwards when you have an injury to that same side of the offensive line there with Carolina. 3 defensive players swarming in right away. This is just bad to worse for Louisiana.
A lot of linebackers went in the first round of this SFL draft. Ware was one of them with the 4th overall pick. On third down, Utah looking over the middle. It's caught by Twin Screw right at the sticks, and a clutch pickup for Louisiana.
Yeah, and they need to convert on those third downs. That's exactly what happened there. Mike Twinscrew with a very nice catch, got hit immediately as he caught it and was able to keep it as he was going down. That's an impressive catch.
Louisiana was 0 of its first 4 on third downs. They're now 3 of their last 5 and turned it into a somewhat respectable 3 of 9. Utah over the middle through the hands of Chase Earl. That's a play that he normally hauls in, but not that time.
Yeah, it's a pass that was a little bit behind Chase Earl as he was running down down to the middle part of the field there. So he had to change his motion on his body just to try to get that catch, and unfortunately just right through his hands.
Numbers were updated. Louisiana 4 of its last 5 on third downs after 0 of their first 4. So now 4 of 9 for the game. 2nd and 10 for the 15. The Revs inside the red zone once again. Streeter has already struck twice from here. Through the air they'll go. Reggie Streeter, spin move around 1. Tries to break through Prasad, and a whole host of Skyhawks are there to put an end to the run. A gain of 11 through the air for Streeter. 1st down and goal for Louisiana.
How's about this for a stat line, Tim? Reggie Streeter has more receiving yards right now than he does rushing yards. He's at 52 receiving yards right now to only 48. This might be a great fantasy day, but rushing-wise, this is extremely unorthodox from Reggie Streeter.
Yeah, he does still have the 2 touchdowns, which will help his fantasy day. To me, that's a Logan Jack type day, more receiving yards than rushing yards. Will they go to him again here? No, they will go this way on 1st and goal. It's Collier on the catch, and maybe that was a mistake. Carolina all over that one. Mark Martin, one of the corners, in on the stop.
You know, on that opposite side, you had Reggie Streeter with about 2 or 3 yards of open space, which I believe would have been enough for him to juke and jive around to the end zone. So that was an interesting call from Tommy Utah to go with Collier instead of Reggie Streeter on the backside.
You know that he's got a nose for the end zone. Collier scored 11 total touchdowns in his 2 years with the Lone Star Glory. Not able to do anything there. From the 6, Utah bullets it. It's caught by Robo, but that took him out of bounds. Too much gas on that throw, perhaps, from Utah. 3rd down and goal.
Yeah, the pass was a little bit too late on there. If you want him to catch it on the sideline and still continue forward, maybe a pass a split second earlier so he has enough space to turn and try to get himself to the end zone. But it's still positive yardage, and now they have 2 yards to get to the end zone.
Robo, one of the South Carolinians represented on this roster, and a former tight end. 3rd and goal. They go back to Streeter. Muscles forward, trying to find the hat trick. Not this time. Shravan Prasad, as he often is, the last line of defense, and he keeps Streeter out of the end zone for now.
Very, very close. I would almost say that's close to the SFL chin hair line at this point. with Reggie Streeter's momentum, I would go for it, but they have their field goal unit out, which isn't a bad idea either. Just get some points and try to get back in this game.
17-point game as it stands right now, Brett, and this obviously would bring it to a 2-score game, but I'm thinking you need points. But either way, I mean, Otis Boudreau makes no mistake with that one. An easy field goal from 18 yards, his first as a member of the Revolution. And so even though Louisiana still needs points and they need them quick, that does make it a 2-score game with 8:06 left.
So if I were the coach of Louisiana at this point, I would have to think we need to get this stopped right away. Their next drive, score a touchdown, then get the onside kick. I think that's the plan that they're going to go through.
And definitely no need to onside right now with 8 minutes and change left, but the time is nigh with still a 14-point deficit. Louisiana has scored the last 17. Prasad on the return. He gets out to about the 25, and if you're with us in the chat here on twitch.tv/SimulationFL, Harish Prasad is always around. He's one of the more present guys, a very vocal supporter of his team, which is awesome. He says we need to score right now. Brett, do you agree?
You know what? With them allowing the last 17 points in this game, even getting a field goal at this point could just get the game out of reach. But we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, no question. Any points for Carolina might seal this game with 8 minutes left, so they will go to Logan Jack. He's only able to pick up 1. Tomorrow on For the Fans, the battle for the Southern Division starts all over again when Mexico City faces off against Lone Star at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, followed by Bryant Dynasty and the Atlanta Swarm versus Johnny Pickler and Pickler's London Knights debut. Bonus coverage includes San Diego and Sioux Falls and St. Louis versus Tulsa. Of course, the team that Johnny Pickler left to join the London Knights, the Louisiana Revolution. We're playing right now, trying to climb back into this big hole. The pass from South floats it out to the top of the screen. Caught again by Tony Zoma, who's got a couple of catches on this game.
You know, if I were a Louisiana player right now, I don't know if they would like you right now with the mention of Johnny Pickler. But nonetheless, Louisiana looking to turn over a new leaf with Tommy Utah. So far, it's been okay.
Yeah, exactly. Hit or miss, but that's how it goes for most rookies in the SFL. It's always an adjustment period, it feels like, except, I guess, for Dave Burr in Houston. South will throw this way, caught again by Harish Prasad. Carolina's used about a minute of clock, and they pick up a first down for the first time in a while.
Yeah, and that's Carolina's game plan at this point, is just to shed as much clock as possible if they don't score any points. And they get a first down, but it looks like Louisiana making another challenge here.
Gerald Smith tosses out the red flag for the second time in this game, Brett. He did this in the first half, was unsuccessful. A first down conversion was allowed to stand. Same situation, different rule that he's challenging here. What do you think?
I'd have to see here. It was kind of just, I thought it was a fair catch already on this one. The rule is so weird when it comes to those sideline catches. Is it 1 foot? Is it 2 feet? Is it 6? Is it 94 feet? Like, what's the rule here, 62?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like they know all the time. And I tell you, man, my hit rate on this is terrible. I never get these challenge calls right. It always goes the other way. Louisiana is going to win this challenge. And frankly, I'm 0 for 2 so far to start this season. I thought that the challenge in the first half was well-deserved. I didn't think that one had a chance. I'm 0 for 2, and that is a killer for Carolina.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Louisiana wants. They're pinned fairly deep, so they're gonna see good field position out of this too. This is big for Louisiana.
Fair catch called for and made by Twin Screw, and yet another punt for Carolina. I mean, we mentioned this, Brett, in the first half. The Skyhawks could do no wrong. They scored on their first 4 possessions, and then, of course, also the special teams touchdown from Monty Wyatt. They scored on all but 1 of their possessions in the first half. They punted, or lined up to punt, rather, at the end of the first half. Did have to force off a punt as the clock hit 0, and, of course, here after halftime, 0 points thus far for the Skyhawks. The Revolution are on a run. Here goes Reggie Streeter, appropriately on a run. He's able to pick up 4 yards.
Yeah, and going back to Carolina's offense, or Carolina in general, they scored 31 points in the first 13 minutes of this game and have been relatively quiet since. So Louisiana's done a great job shoring things up and trying to give Tommy Utah as much of a chance as possible.
Fantastic point, because they scored those first 2 touchdowns of the second quarter immediately because of that fumble recovery by Monty Wyatt. Again, they go to Streeter. Again, not a lot doing for Reggie Streeter. That's number 43, Kane Vasquez on the stop. I said this last year, Brett, but what a pickup that was for Carolina. Already a good secondary, as we've talked about, but they bring in a legitimate starting strong safety who was great for many years for Tulsa. That was one of the best free agent acquisitions of last season. He's back for round 2 with the Skyhawks. clearly enjoyed year one in Raleigh, trying to help bring this team back to the playoffs for the first time since season 11. On third down, another conversion, this time for Louisiana. They were not able to do that at all in the first half, not a single one. And now here in the second half, their third down conversion game has suddenly arrived.
Yeah, and that's their fifth third down conversion, if I remember correctly from what you said to me earlier. I know that I have a bad brain sometimes, but Chase Earl has done a really good job in the second half to carry that momentum along with Utah and Streeter, and now they're going down the field.
Earl has been pretty sure-handed, except for that one drop in this game. He's been very solid. Utah will toss it out. Reggie Streeter through the air, stonewalled that time. Great one-on-one tackle. No dice that time for Streeter. And David Ware, who is playing here at the left side of the Carolina defense. Remember, the rookie, 4th overall pick. Big stop that time on the former MVP. Great game for the rookie from Moulton, Alabama. Again, many linebackers were selected in the first round. He went 4th overall. Big addition to this Carolina team. No gain that time for Streeter, maybe even a loss of one. Shravan Prasad on the stop. And we mentioned at the start of this game, this Carolina linebacking core looks totally different from how it did a year ago. They had to replace 2 veteran linebackers. So Shravan Prasad, now his 7th year, he's the main holdover. But Chad Stinson, a former safety, is now one of the linebackers. And Ware, the rookie, the other linebacker, because Amon Takes and Levant Irvine, 13 combined years in the SFL, both left the team after last season. Third and long, Twin Screw makes the catch, but he's forced out of bounds by Davidson Joseph, and that brings up 4th down.
And for Louisiana, you can't play conservative here when you're down 2 scores. And an out route in a mid route out route to the sideline is not what you want to have here. They're gonna have to go for it on 4th down with 4.5 to go.
No choice. 4th down and 4 from the 44 with 4 minutes and change left in quarter number 4. Down by 14. Utah over the middle into coverage, tipped and dropped. There was a body there, but coverage by the safety, Monte Wyatt, looking for Chase Earl. Utah can't find it that time. Turnover on downs.
Just a very unfortunate. It was a great look to Chase Earl, who's been a reliant option there, and just a slight deflection. That's all that was needed to get that ball batted down. And Louisiana, their chances of getting back in this game are dwindling fast now that Carolina has the ball back.
Flynn Shady, another one, member of another one of the teams with a rookie quarterback this year, asks, how's Tommy Utah doing? In his first game, pretty well, but Earl was not able to help him on that one. Carolina takes over with a 2-score lead. To the near side, South's pass is hauled in by Vince DeSantis. We've been waiting for that one, Brett. First catch for DeSantis, and now every star on this Carolina team has touched the ball. And a shout out to Andy Hamilton for that note.
Yeah, and Vince DeSantis was kind of a little bit of a quiet midseason signing. That was a nice tight end 2 option. He has the same role this season, but this time with a full season instead of a handful of games.
Yeah, only made 4 catches in about half a season last year for Carolina. First catch for him here. They will run it now to Logan Jack. Gets across the midfield stripe and no further. Thurgond on the stop. We mentioned him in the first half. How about this from just a reversal of fortunes for Gond? His first year, season 15, the rookie, as a rookie, 17 sacks and 22 tackles for loss as Louisiana got to the semifinals. He was great in the postseason. Last year, Louisiana missed the playoffs, only 3 sacks and 9 total tackles for loss. So a bit of a falling off for Gond between year 1 and year 2. But Jenko, the defensive end, was able to pick up the slack and turn it around. Carolina in no rush. They'll snap it with 5. Jack picks up the first down. A big pickup for Carolina and another 3rd down conversion for them.
It's just becoming more and more demoralizing for Louisiana as Logan Jack gets that first down and continues the Carolina possession here as the clock keeps dwindling down closer and closer to the end of the game. It's becoming nigh impossible, I would say, for Louisiana to get back in this.
Window is quickly closing on the Revolution, no question about it, as we tick down towards 3 minutes left. And a 14-point edge for the Skyhawks, even though they have not scored once after halftime. Again, the Skyhawks will take their time. They nearly run into each other in the backfield. They'll give it to Jack, and he's stopped behind the line of scrimmage. A clutch TFL for Louisiana. They'll take anything they can get right now, Brett, and there is one of their biggest offseason acquisitions, Brian Craven with the TFL.
And that's exactly what Louisiana needs. They just need to push them further and further back as much as possible. Get two more stops here, force a fourth down. I can't count all of a sudden, and they got to get that ball back as quickly as they can.
Louisiana can count the most important differential in this game, 14 points, and they running out of time to make up that ground. They'll pack the box a little bit here. 2.5 left in regulation time. Again, the give to Jack. Breaks through the first wave, and a nice pickup for Jack. He gets 6. Looked like he was dead to rights. Doug Day, who joins his pal Brian Craven on this team, helps to make the stop.
Yeah, and that's all that Logan Jack needs. Like we're not focusing on Logan Jack's yards per carry of only 2 so far, just because of how successful the team has been on offense in general. He doesn't have to worry about that too much at this point.
Does not need to be this big flashy guy because his team has been more than good enough. 2 minutes left in regulation. Carolina trying to salt it away. This is the SFL on Twitch. Skyhawks scored the first 31. Louisiana has scored the last 17. The Skyhawks trying to salt this away in week 1. Jack gets the give. Brian Craven once again makes the stop. First timeout called by the Revolution, and the Revs collapse in a good way, Brett Solberg, when it matters the most.
Yeah, and they got that fourth down that they need, and now Carolina is going to force themselves to punt the ball out, and once Louisiana gets that ball back, they need to start looking deep.
Less than 2 minutes to go. The Revs now in possession of 2 of their timeouts. The momentum that they had accrued seems to have ground to a halt, at least for now. Here comes Mike Johnson to punt on once again. He barely had to get off the bench in the first half. Can they keep this out of the end zone? The first man touches it. No, it rolls into the end zone. That was a tough break for Carolina. They nearly had Louisiana pinned inside the 2. But instead, Tommy Utah, you see him there in his first game as a major leaguer, trying to outduel Matt South, who is working on one of the best games of his career, his 5-year SFL career now. Utah trying to rebound from a slow-ish first half and bring his team back into this game against all odds. 1:47 to go. Utah is hit and taken down once again. That's not the way to start. And a great sack for Carolina. That's Phil Hall, the 9-year veteran.
Got to look deep here now.
Second down and 12. Utah, they does look deep. Twin screw is there. He's plastered at the end of it, but a first down.
They need to keep this hurry up going, and they need to find a catch and run. They need a catch and run here.
46th career sack for Phil Hall. Utah does not move up. He's taken down again. John Neville's his first career sack.
Not enough of a drop step there for him.
Barely dropped back at all this game, and he's hit once again. That's Hall again on the stop. He almost is able to pick up his second sack in just a couple of plays.
Yeah, and Tommy Utah, he's got to step back a little bit further so he has enough time, because Carolina's swarming interior, especially the interior line, that's a scary set of linemen right there. So you need to give yourself a 5-step or a 7-step drop so you have enough space around you so you can find your open receivers.
Hall is top 25 all-time in both sacks and tackles for loss at 12.5 sacks a year ago. Utah to throw, floats it up, it's hauled in by Chase Earl, and a pickup of about 5, and Louisiana uses its second timeout.
Yeah, and not a bad catch to get forward momentum there, but you were hoping that he could catch it and run it a little bit further to the first down and a little bit more. But again, they're going to have to go for fourth down here. I would suggest, again, going deep. I love the deep pass.
We haven't seen Louisiana utilize the deep pass much at all in this game as they try to work Tommy Utah into the system and into the major leagues. But for them, it's now or never. Utah will throw it. It's an out route for Twin Screw. Twin Screw makes the catch, but he's short of the sticks. I'm not even sure if he was in bounds, Brett, but it doesn't matter. It is a stop and a turnover on downs for Louisiana. Carolina will take over possession with a minute to go.
Yeah, it looks like the Louisiana receivers on the left side were pretty much covered by Carolina. So a good job by the Carolina secondary. And I don't know about this challenge. Almost seems unnecessary.
Yeah, it's a booth review inside of 2 minutes, right? But, I mean, this will at least answer the question if Twin Screw gets the catch. And this is about the quickest review in the history of football.
Yeah.
The catch was made prior to going out.
Okay, so the catch is made prior to going out of bounds, so it'll be 6 more yards on the ledger for Mike Twin Screw and a completed pass for Tommy Utah, who continues to have his completion percentage right around 85, which is fantastic, obviously, even in this league where most quarterbacks are at 75% or better. And it's just going to be some stat padding for those two guys. Carolina takes over, and the victory formation for the North Carolinian Matt South.
Yeah, going back to that booth review, you got to think that the booth just said, "Here, we got a picture. That's all we got. Just go. It counts. It doesn't matter."
It's just that's one of those things where the booth wanted to get involved. We haven't seen them very much. That's a lie because we've had 2 challenges in this game. We typically don't see more than 1 in a game in the SFL. So the booth just wanting to remind everybody that they are here in this game.
Look, we get paid by the second. Like, we need more money.
We get paid by the number of times that R62 looks into that screen. Hopefully it's not by the second because he was only there for about 3 seconds. So hopefully they don't get paid for it. 6 more games coming your way tomorrow on the SFL family of networks. You can see the whole calendar there on the bottom of the screen, part of just another part of all of the off-season changes and adjustments and amendments and great additions that Cameron Irvine has made. This whole graphics package is brand new, so if you're a returning viewer of the SFL, none of this looks the same. For Carolina, none of this looks the same. This is one of the best offensive performances that we've seen out of them in recent franchise history, and yeah, it's a goose egg in the second half for them, but it doesn't matter because they were electric in the first half. Carolina scores the first 31 points. Louisiana scores the final 17. But for the Revolution, too little, too late. Carolina will start the season with a W.
Yeah, and this is the start that Carolina wanted to start off their year, because you look at their previous seasons, especially this past season, basically being a game away from getting into the playoffs, and they want to break those woes as quickly as possible. And it starts with one of Matt South's best games of his career. 319 yards on the stats sheet that says for me on 28 of 34 passing. That is just efficiency all in all out, except for the 1 interception, which it ended up being minor at the end of the day. But nonetheless, what an absolute start for Matt South and company. Whereas for Louisiana, they just need to go back to the drawing board, chalk this up as a loss. It's only week 1. They've got 11 games to go, and just focus on their next opponent and trying to right their wrongs. That's essentially all that they really need to do. And I would suggest trying to find more involvement with Reggie Strader, especially on the ground, because we didn't see a lot of it. Only 55 rushing yards, which is just I've been saying unorthodox a lot when it comes to Reggie Streeter, but if you've watched him for as long as I have, you're expected to see him just pound the rock down the field for hundreds of yards per game. So this is just a weird and unorthodox game from Streeter and the Louisiana Revolution.
He's coming off of a down year by his standards, second fewest in his career in terms of rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, and total rushes, but still one of the best running backs in the league. And Matt South, unsurprisingly, Brett, the player of the game with one of the best games of his career.
Yeah, he's going to put that on his fridge, that's for sure.
A picture-perfect start to the Carolina career for the North Carolinian Matt South. Thanks so much for joining us. We were the first game of the day and the last game of the day on this Saturday SFL kickoff. It's been a pleasure to have you alongside. For Andy Hamilton and Eddie Gage, for Cameron Irvine and Eric Vinson, and my partner Brett Solberg, it was a pleasure, man. Thanks for joining me. I've been Tim Hackett. We'll see you next time. So long. The SFL Season 17 kickoff continues tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern on For the Fans. See you then.
Good night, SFL.